Okay, it's Bob Frizzell for the reality game. And just so that if you're new, it's a comedy channel. Now, a lot of the characters that we do using this body and this face are very, very serious. They're very serious. Even sometimes when I'm talking, it's very serious. It's a comedy channel. So, if you see someone really serious on a comedy channel, it's to make you laugh. I keep trying to figure out where the camera is. I think it's up here. See, how can that be? I mean, there it is. My finger is actually up here because that's where the camera is, but it's really weird. Look at this. Anyway, the whole point of the matter is it's a comedy channel. It's to make you laugh. And some of the characters are deadpan. It means they play straight. Doesn't mean they're not gay or straight. It means deadpanning means they're delivering the lines with a straight face. They're not laughing and giggling while they're telling you something serious. They're delivering the line seriously. But it's to make you laugh. If you watch a whole series of our videos, some of the people are very serious, but you're supposed to look at them and go, you poor sucker, and start laughing. Look at this poor sucker. He'll talk for half an hour about some serious, stupid metaphysical. We do metaphysical because I've just read so much metaphysical things. What do I really think of metaphysical stuff? It's all bullshit. What do I think about genetics? Bullshit. They lie to you about genetics because they want to sell you on their drugs. It's all lies. You were taught lies in high school. How do I know? Because the whole planet is trying to sell you something, and they do that by indoctrinating you when you're young to believe that everything is physical. I keep doing this. This is a physical body. It appears to be a physical body, but maybe they're lying in quantum physics. Quantum theory, when they teach you that in, I think it was 11th grade, or 10th grade, 10th and 11th grade, and maybe, university or whatever, but they talk about quantum physics, and it's the double slit experiments with light. And you have to read all about it. And then they say, well, it's the quantum observer effect. And then they say, well, the original scientist said, I don't think it was John Wheeler, but it was one of these original scientists, Heisenberg maybe, he said, if you think you understand quantum physics, you don't understand quantum physics. In other words, it's designed to be indecipherable. But if that's the true state of reality, then you're never going to understand anything. So is quantum physics true? How else can you explain the double slit experiment? You could explain it using the theory of the matrix. Nick Bostrom's theory that we live in a simulated reality and everything that you see is information. It's information. We've got information that I'm burping. I've got indigestion and digestion. So what does it all mean? It means, well, is DNA real? You can't look at DNA. In order to see DNA, you have to have what's known as an electron microscope. Who sets up the electron microscope slide? Oh, somebody. And somebody says, well, we extracted this stuff from a cell, so it must be DNA. I mean, we spent hours and hours in the lab with centrifuges to get it to separate into the right fraction, and we took a little pipette, which is a little turkey baster thing, but miniature, and we were able to go and get a sample of DNA, and then we put it on the slide, and it's so unbelievably tiny, but we found the exact spot on the slide for the electrons to go flying through at super high speed and make a micrograph of it. And that's how we know it's DNA. Well, you have to buy that when you're in biology in university because there's no time. They don't actually, they don't let you see all the prep work that they do to run the electron microscope. They might show you this is the electron microscope. I saw it. We didn't get to use it. We didn't get to see how they prepared the samples. No, none of it. So it's basically there to brainwash you. And you're supposed to know critical thinking when you're they teach you a little bit of critical theory in first year psychology, but you don't get to use it because you've got to be tested on everything that they tell you, and it's all out of the textbook. So what does it really mean? It means you're brainwashed. Is it true? You have no way of knowing. You have no way of knowing because they don't show it to you. It's not available to be seen. So is it true or not? I don't think it's true. I think it's a pile of bullshit. I think why did they do it? Because they can get vast amounts of money from students to go and take these courses. And what good is it when you're done? Not very much good comes from it. I mean, maybe you can operate a chemistry lab and do some titrations or something, but how many people that took chemistry actually use chemistry in the workforce? If you work in a government lab or something, not very many. Not very many. So is quantum physics true? Maybe it's not true. Maybe it's not true at all. But maybe the reality theory is everything that you experience is true. I mean, you heard it. I mean, it actually happened. Maybe I told you a lie, but you become an expert in detecting lies, or me telling you something. Oh, how much time have I got? Oh, the last thing I wanted to tell you was serious people in real life. What do you do about them? The metaphysical writer Stuart Wilde, who I often like to quote, said, if you find a serious person, run away from them. Run away from them. Don't spend any time with people who are serious. What else? Um, Stuart Wilde was someone who he was a great writer. His books are very entertaining, and his personality comes through, and he's quite funny. He tells you stuff. Is it true? Um, I don't think so. After all this time, I don't think. I mean, he uses the same metaphysical mumbo jumbo that Abraham Hicks talks about, and I don't know. A lot of his stuff is oddball. It's his own stuff. I mean, you haven't seen it anywhere, but you saw it first with him. Um, Power of positive thinking, I think a little bit. He talked about being kind to other people, but his biggest thing was getting people to go to his. He called them gigs. In other words, Stuart Wilde's going to have a talk, and he's going to charge you for it, whatever it was way back in the 1980s. And he called it a gig. I'm going to have a gig, and he was originally South African, but he sounded pretty much British, and he'd had that accent. And I don't know, would you go? I did pay to go and see Stuart Wilde. Was I impressed with him? No. Why? He didn't talk long enough. He spent a lot of time talking to the event organizer, and I looked at him. I walked by. There was too many people there for each person to see Stuart Wilde. But I walked by, and he was talking to the event organizer, and he didn't look healthy. He looked gray, slate gray. What does that mean? Well, he wasn't a healthy guy. He might have been 62 at the time. He had a big pot belly from drinking too much beer. And the reports on the internet were he was doing a lot of ecstasy. He was popping a lot of illegal drugs, and he was drinking. So what does that really mean? Well, do you really want to trust this guy to be your metaphysical teacher? You have to go check him out. I checked him out, and his talk was, it wasn't as good as his books. It was too short. I mean, it really wasn't expensive. It might have been $25, and it was a bit of a drive to get to a suburb of. I saw him in a suburb of Vancouver, Canada. Um, but I guess I was glad to see him because now looking back, I'd say, well, if he was using his own metaphysics on himself, he looked like he already had one foot in the grave, and he died a few years after that. So he didn't live to a ripe old age. He seemed to develop a really bad case of paranoia in his later books, um, but that might have been true. I think when he wrote God's Gladiators, which anybody else would read and go, oh my God, this guy's paranoid as hell about things that go bump in the dark. Well, if you watch our channel, you know that we do talk a lot about things that go bump in the dark. We call them demonics. Are they real? Oh, yeah, they're real. They're more real than a lot of other balderdash we do. I'm sorry, it's true. Who is Pindar the reptilian Draco? Oh, he came and visited me. He wasn't, like a physical dragon or reptilian one. But, if I closed my eyes, he was there. I could see him with my eyes closed and my internal visions. And was he nasty? He was the most horrible. They call him Pindar the Magnificent. It was not magnificent. It was a terrorist attack. It was like mental terrorism. It was frightening. It was a horrible ordeal. Was it true? It was true. How did it find me? To this day, I don't know why. What do you do with serious people? Laugh at them. And if they try and grab you and corner you, run away from them. Stuart Wilde, I have to agree. The other metaphysical writer that I talk about quite a bit is Dr. David R. Hawkins, and he said humor is one of the highest forms of intelligence. So if you can laugh at these kind of people, it raises your consciousness. Why is it that I'm scratching my nose? It's because by telekinesis, someone is sending something to my skin to make it itch. How long has this gone on for? Years. I see other people with this itch. Stuart Wilde said there's invisible orange blobs that get caught in people's mustaches, and they're etheric bugs or astral bugs that you can't see them unless you can open up your third eye here in your pineal gland. And even then, I don't know if you can see them. Is my pineal gland open? It's open enough so that I can talk telepathically with some of the characters. But do I see these things? I don't see them, but I feel the itch. And Stuart Wilde says it's etheric bugs. What can you do about it? I don't think there's anything. He used to say spray it with different kinds of herbal things. Does it work? It doesn't work. I'm Bob Frizzell.